Guys, good morning. Happy Wednesday. It's Daryl here. It's not even 3:30 a.m. on Wednesday here in Connecticut on the East Coast. It appears that Bernie Sanders won the first primary in the nation in New Hampshire yesterday. What I would like to talk about today is drugs, and I've known these. There are some interesting truths, some interesting facts about drugs that, unless you're a drug addict, a recovering drug addict or drug addict, or maybe in recovery, you wouldn't know. There's a serious question as to why this is the situation, and it's the occurrence of some drugs in different parts of the United States, which leads me to wonder seriously if there must be higher influences, meaning the government, politicians, very influential people must be influencing this. I'll explain it to you. The East Coast has always had one of the highest opioid over death rates in the country. Florida, Pennsylvania, West Virginia, Maine, New Hampshire, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Rhode Island. Those are some of the highest in the country. New Mexico is high too. Those are pretty much the top 10. I might be missing one or two here or there. Now, I've heard this blamed on hard labor causing injuries to the back, to the bone structure, to orthopedic injuries, leading to doctor visits, operations, thus being prescribed opioids, thus becoming addicted. This is the one reason I've heard for this. From Connecticut up, it's forestry is a prevalent industry. Pennsylvania, West Virginia, of course, coal mining, a very brutally hard on the body. Florida, down south, I'm not sure. I imagine tourism is high down there, which isn't particularly tough on the body, I don't think. Then again, maybe carrying luggage all day. But this is what they blame it on. When I say they, I sound like a conspiracy theorist, but this is what's pointed to. I want to point out, before I get into this more, I want to point out one other fact that I have wondered about this for years. Connecticut, there is no crystal meth in Connecticut. When I was using 13 years ago, I was a cocaine addict, crack addict, and I would have loved to try back then. I would have loved to try some crystal meth. Just being an addict, that's how you are. You want to try harder drugs of your choice, your preferred drug. You want to see if you can find something cheaper, stronger. It's how it works. And believe me, I tried, and I went out to California, to Los Angeles, San Diego, San Jose, and it's just the exact opposite there. Connecticut has the lowest seizures of meth labs in the country. I think we've had 5 meth labs in 15 years since 2005. Which is far. They talk about Missouri and the heartland of the country just being saturated with this stuff. Now, they blame it on having less land here, less opportunity, because you need a little more secretive area for the labs. This makes no sense really. Because there's plenty of forest here. There's plenty of private land here and up north of here. There's plenty of empty buildings. There's nothing really that much different here that would not allow for meth labs. So this makes me wonder, why is cocaine and crack? Now, these cocaine and crack are both amphetamines, very similar acting. Methamphetamine lasts a lot longer. Pretty close in price. Why? Why is cocaine and crack so prevalent here? You can buy it anywhere, on any corner. Tons of it, everywhere. And it's vice versa out there. Why is this? Now, you think addicts are very resourceful, and drug dealers are even more resourceful. So if there is a hole in the market, they would fill it, wouldn't they? Wouldn't somebody fill a hole in the market if there was a market for it? I just explained to you guys why addicts would gladly buy it to try it out. So there's a desire for it, I'm sure. But for some reason, the drug is not in this area at all. Which just makes me wonder that there's got to be some powerful force that keeps methamphetamine out of this area, out of New England. Massachusetts have the second lowest seizure of meth labs. Now, don't get me wrong. I am not complaining about this. I'm not saying, oh, we should have more meth labs in Connecticut. I am not saying that. Not saying that. I'm pointing out, though, that this just does not make sense. When you see something like this, people make up reasons, like I was just saying, why there's more opiates here, why there's more opiate overdose addiction here. And sometimes it just doesn't quite make sense, because there's hard labor all over the country. What about the oil rigs down in Oklahoma? I'm guessing, I never worked on an oil rig, but I'm sure as hell guessing that's probably even harder than forestry or coal combined. Why not the opiate deaths there? Something is amiss here. It's like certain drugs are way more prevalent, and believe me, addicts will use any drug. Like I just told you, I was searching for meth. After experiencing it out west, I came back here, and believe me, I kept an eye out for it. I asked around for it, and it is not here. Why? And I'm far from the only one. So there's a desire for it. There's a hole to be filled, but it's not being filled. It takes a very, very strong entity to keep that, to create these barriers. It doesn't make sense. I'm telling you guys. Watch, I'll probably end up disappearing tomorrow now. The second thing, in this whole area, we have white powder heroin from the opiate triangle, Thailand, Burma, Afghanistan especially. When I became an opiate addict after I had a couple back surgeries, and I started using Oxycontins, and then I started using heroin. I swear to God, I was guilty, because I felt like my money was going straight to the Taliban. And it did bother me. I don't mean to laugh, but it did bother me, because that's where my drug was coming from. Here's the thing, though. Out west, it's all black tar heroin. Now, the reason there's a lot of opiate deaths is because the opiate wave. There was 3 waves of opiate overdose waves. The last one was around 2010, 2013, with the introduction of fentanyl. Fentanyl, an extremely ridiculously strong opiate, and it could be mixed much easier into the white powder, much easier, with no effort whatsoever. It could just be dumped in the bag, and you probably wouldn't even notice. Whereas I can't imagine, I've never tried, but I can't imagine mixing a white powder into a black tar is all that easy. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't think so. Now, what that creates here is some bags crazy strong, and dealers will do this. They'll put for lack of a better term, a death bag in every 100 bags. So one person will overdose and die, and that creates a rush, a stampede to the brand. Yeah, addicts do that. It's a fact. I was one of them. I remember going around asking for a particular bag called Manhattan, and it had an Indian on it. And it was causing a lot of overdose deaths, and I was one of those people. It sounds crazy, but that's how the addict mind works. You want that high, and death means nothing. Seriously, the threat of death means nothing to an addict. It's irrelevant. So now the white powder here on the East Coast makes it a lot easier to mix the crazy strong fentanyl in with. thus creating more overdose deaths. I'm the only person I've ever heard come up with that idea that this is why there's more overdose deaths, especially in this corridor. And why is this too? That there's no black tar here, and it's all the white powder. It's strange. It's strange how there's just particular drugs in different areas, and it's like there's a wall where these drugs do not go past. Even though I'm sure dealers would make money hand over fist, and dealers would buy it up like crazy. So why is this drug not here? There's got to be an awfully strong, powerful, strong entity that's causing these divisions. There's something. And I've never heard an explanation for it. Like I said, just if you're not involved in drugs, if you've never been involved in drugs, if you're not a recovering addict, if you're not very close to a recovering addict from this area, you'd never know these things. You'd never know. This is stuff they don't talk about on TV, but it's a fact. Believe me. The only issue here is I've been clean and sober for 13 years, and I have not even smelled marijuana in 13 years, so I'm a little removed from what's currently going on right now. I am. There might be black tar closer to here, but see, here's the thing. I don't see it anywhere in the papers, anywhere on TV. I have never once seen a meth lab on the news in Connecticut. Never seen a bust in Connecticut on the TV news. So why? It's weird. It's strange. And there's plenty. Believe me, I know. If there's one thing I know, it's addicts, and addicts will buy it. And if addicts will buy it, dealers will sure as hell sell it. But it's not here. I'm telling you, there's got to be. There's got to be. If I disappear, guys, you know what happens. Seriously. All right, just up to let you guys into a little interesting drug information. All right, you guys have a good Wednesday.